Hey Jeff.
Hey Meesha.
Welcome to episode 11 of the North Atlanta Real Estate Podcast with Meesha Rawal.
And Jeff Ahi.
And I cannot believe we're at episode 11.
I know, isn't this fun? I think we're doing pretty well. I mean, I think I didn't even know what to expect when we started this.
Yeah, it was an idea and it germinated, and now we are 11 episodes in.
You had to drag me kicking and screaming initially, I think. I think that's fair to say. But now we're doing it. I think we're giving some good content out there, and hopefully we're helping teach people some things about the market up here.
Yes, and talking about teaching people, I think it may not be a bad idea to talk about the market update for August 2025.
Yeah, so why don't we give people, we're not all the way at the end of August, and so we'll do like our full update maybe in a week and a half or so, but I think it is probably a good idea to catch people up on, since we've had some timely things happen, and since we had a little shift in the data in the market in July. Maybe we'll talk about the numbers that we're tracking so far in August. So yeah. That's a good topic.
We were looking at the zip code 30005, which is Alpharetta, and we did look at 30022, 24, and
30041.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
so the North Fulton, South Forsyth, and there were certain numbers that jumped out at us, but overall, we did see that August has been tracking July.
Yeah, so basically, I guess what we tell people is that the first half of the year, from January through the end of June, we were pretty well tracking almost exactly like we were in 2024, maybe a little ahead in some spots, a little behind, but very close. And then in July, we saw this shift where all of a sudden, sales were down when you're comparing to the same July of 2024 to July 2025. We were down kind of 10, 15, 20%, 25% in some markets of the number of sales. And so I got curious just earlier today, and it's like, well, what's going on exactly this month? And so from taking a look at it, it's not like we've rebounded. So August is tracking much like July is what it appears. And so we haven't had some kind of big rebound yet. So it remains to be seen exactly. You can't take data in such a short period of time and make trends out of it, but it doesn't look like it shifted. Now, one thing that did happen recently was this meeting in Jackson Hole where Jerome Powell had his speech recently, and that was just last Friday on the 22nd, August 22nd. And, he finally has talked about, there's a little daylight now where he's talking about that it may be, depending on jobs data, between now and September, which is their next meeting on the 16th to 17th of September, the Fed's going to meet again to determine if they're going to lower the discount rate. And he's talking about now, depending on jobs data, that yes, they might. And the markets reacted to that news on Friday pretty strongly. The stock market rose pretty solid, 3% up, or 2.2% or so, I guess it was. And then you saw the 10-year Treasury drop about 7 or 8 basis points, which interest rates track that. So, interest rates improving slightly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
But we've seen in the past that just because there was a cut in the Treasury numbers does not mean that the interest rate will track that. It was the inverse that happened last year.
You're absolutely correct.
But we have 3 more Treasury cuts this year. One's in...
Well, we have 3 meetings. Mm-hmm. We don't know what they're going to do yet.
Yeah, that's
right.
Hopefully they're cuts.
Yeah,
and
so they're going to have...
interest rate goes down.
Yeah, there's going to be a September meeting, October, and a December. And so... we'll see. I was looking at that, and National Association of Home Builders are doing some forecast, and they said this year is going to end up average 30-year rates at about 6.7%. Right now we're a little under that. We're more like 6.5 now, but we've been higher earlier in the year, and they're anticipating maybe next year a blend of about 6.3%. So at least they're not forecasting any dramatic change, and I think I think there's probably reason to believe that, we're probably going to have rates that are still in the 6s,
yes,
quite possibly.
And the economists had projected that only if the interest rates drop down to between 5 and 5.5% will we see another uptick in real estate sales. And maybe we need to be closer to the high 5s before we see a dramatic change in the number of home sales.
I think it seems to make logical sense because we still have a lot of people out there with 3% mortgages. I got mine, right? I don't, that's not the reason I'm not going to move right now, but I can tell you that would certainly be one of the reasons I would think about if I was going to be moving. I was like, well, I don't want to give that up. Cheap money. So a lot of people are still in that situation. So, and they're locked up. Our inventory, as we've talked about in other shows, it is increased over last year pretty significantly, up 75% or so. However, like we also talked about, we're still only half the level of homes for sale as we had in 2019.
Yes.
So,
The one silver lining in all this is that home prices have gone up. So if you're a seller, that's great for you. Again, it also means that the market has been fairly confident about retaining the value of real estate in the North Fulton area.
Now, you say that, but tell us about in attached homes, it's not the same case necessarily, is it?
And I think we discussed this in one of our previous episodes, that attached houses are tracking much lower in sales, and they're also seeing significant price reductions versus single family houses.
Yeah, I think that, we have talked about that. And I think it's good to reiterate these things because it's possible. I mean, these folks listening, they shouldn't miss an episode.
Yes.
But I'm sure they do sometimes.
Absolutely. And case in point is 10090 Jones Bridge, which is in Unit 2. It was listed at $495,000 about 34 days ago. And already it's been reduced to $450,000. That's like a 10% price reduction. And this is in the heart of Johns Creek. It's on the corner of Old Alabama Road and Jones Bridge Road. So, if a prime location like that is struggling to sell, we don't know how the outlying areas of Atlanta are gonna fare.
Yeah, and so I think it's good for folks, to really study what they're trying to do and take a look at the market. Because I guess we were just kind of talking to ourselves and talking about, does it make sense to even buy an investment property right now?
Absolutely. And that brings me to the other question I was about to pose you. If you had $500,000, and that brings me to the other question I was about to pose. $500,000 looks like a huge amount. But these days in our market, $500,000 will buy you a townhouse or an older single family house. Now you already have a primary house. Would you take this $500,000 and put it towards real estate, or would you hedge your bets and kind of diversify your portfolio?
Well, I can tell you right now is personally, if I had $500,000 to invest, it wouldn't be in real estate right now. You can always, and as like we talked about, look, if you find an incredible investment at any point, like if somebody's given away a piece of real estate at half price, or a car or a boat, of course it makes sense to buy it, right? But if we're just talking about the general market, if we look at the homes that are generally for sale and say that's what we're going to choose from, should we buy one of those homes and then rent it out as an investment? I would say the time is not right now. I've talked a lot more of my past clients out of buying property than recommending that they should buy property when we're talking about investments right now.
But should you be a contrarian and do the opposite of what the logic, the market, the climate of the real estate market is going to tell you, and be like, well, why don't you put your money in right now? You never know how the market's going to be in 5 years.
Yeah, but I think my argument would just be that, right now today, if you bought a piece of property that's on the market and you're going to put down 20 or 25%, which you usually do if you're going to finance it, and you look at today's interest rates for an investor, you're going to be up near 7%. And if you look at that and then try to see, okay, what am I going to rent that out for? It's not going to cash flow. So you're going to be putting money into it every month just to keep it going because it's not going to cover your mortgage. And so now you've put $100,000 down and you still aren't making any money. So I would just argue that right now you should just wait until the numbers reverse, because they will at some point. And right now I would just say, just take your money, go put it in a money market, something safe, stand on the sidelines until you see the right opportunity. I'm not saying that prices are going to fall, but right now you just aren't going to get more than a 4% return or 4.5% return if you purchase it outright with cash. And that's not a great return. If you thought that prices were going to go up and you really were confident that was going to happen, okay, go ahead, go for it. But that's the kind of return that you can expect on cash, and you get no return if you're going to try to finance it.
Perfect. So if you're an investor, wait, watch, find the right opportunity, and if you find an incredible deal, consider it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you may be able to get a more stable return on your investment.
Yeah, I would just sit on the sidelines right now, and opportunities will present themselves over time. Maybe it's going to take a year, 2 years. Maybe it won't happen now, but at some point, things are still pretty unaffordable, and at some point there has to be a change probably. We're starting to see the cracks now just a little bit. That doesn't mean the market's going to fall dramatically, but we do have to keep in mind that we've had a pretty steep increase since 2020. And whenever you have a very steep increase, it does allow for prices to slide backwards a little bit. So not saying that that's going to happen, but it certainly could.
Absolutely. Inflation has definitely crept into real estate, as it has in our egg prices and bread and milk.
Yeah.
Well, talking about bread and milk, we are really blessed to have amazing restaurants.
That's so true.
In our area. And I wanted to find out, if you had to take Rosanna out for a dinner, where would you go?
Well, I'd go where she told me to go.
All right, correct answer.
But if I was going to actually make a choice that I know she'd like, we love to go to Lily Sushi.
Oh.
They have a location in downtown Alpharetta, and they just opened one in downtown Milton as well. And so if the one in downtown Alpharetta there in the Maxwell is very busy, and so you can get in the other one a little easier, and food's great. If you like sushi, you just can't go wrong. So what's one of your favorites?
Well, talking about crowds, I like to take my chances with Del Bar, which is always busy.
It's amazing, right?
It's a Persian restaurant off of Old Milton, and hard to get reservations. Impossible to get a seat over the weekends. But yes, that's possibly my favorite go-to place.
I don't blame you there. That place is absolutely delicious.
Yes, and the other thing we were talking about was, is there a dominant cuisine in our area?
Yeah, that was a good question. I really don't think there is. I mean, I think one of the nice things about the diversity we have in our area is we have so many different types of food available to us. I mean, my gosh, you got Korean, Vietnamese, Chinese, Italian, Mexican, a little bit of French. I would love a little bit extra French food, but I mean, we have every Persian that you just mentioned. I mean, there's so many great restaurants here.
Yeah, and new ones are constantly popping up. And every little corner there's a little development, and a new restaurant just pops up. And it's good to kind of keep a track of all these cuisines coming in, because we just see how many people are coming into our little area and how many people are proud of their cuisines. There even is a Palestinian and a Syrian restaurant close to where I am, and
I haven't been there yet. Is it good? Have you been?
Fantastic. Yeah,
nice.
Mazaj is the Palestinian restaurant, and El Zain is the Syrian restaurant, and just goes to show that living over here, we don't miss out on any cuisine, or the culture that we have here is fantastic and such a good blend.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you. Is there any other favorites you have? You had mentioned a place that you like to go out for a drink occasionally, or
Connors.
What was that? Connors.
Right.
I haven't been there. You've told me about that.
Right after I finished my $1.50 hot dog and Coke at Costco, I'm like, let's have a drink at Connors. They have an amazing happy hour from 3 to 6:30. Not a plug, but yes, they have an amazing happy hour.
Is this like every day or what?
Not every day.
Well, I know you don't go every day. Is that when happy hour is every day?
I think the happy hour is pretty much every day.
Okay.
And then Lotus Valley for dessert. It's a Persian Chinese restaurant, and they have the best desserts in Johns Creek.
Okay. Now there was and I'm going to put you on the spot because I don't remember for sure. There was this Vietnamese ice cream shop that is right off of McInnes Ferry. And
Snowy rolls?
Is that what? It's something melts.
Melt away.
Melt away. There you go. That is an interesting ice cream shop.
Yes.
I mean, the owners are so nice.
Publix, shopping
exactly.
complex, yes.
Yeah, right there where Windward's just down, I guess, from where Windward pops into there. Yeah, just east of there. Yeah, so, you know, we went in there one time with the family, and the owners are so nice. I mean, they just try to get you to taste everything they've got, and they have so many unique flavors, and all of it was, I think, fresh made, right? Oh, even their ingredients and all their ice cream.
Yeah.
So that's a fun place to
And
go
these
to.
are all family-owned restaurants because the last time I went there was his 10-year-old son was there just helping his dad. And I thought that was such a cool little experience for the son to have with the family business.
Yeah. Well, speaking of family business, I'll give a plug. It's not our business, but I will give a plug. My daughter works over at Warm Waves Coffee right there in downtown Alpharetta, just north of downtown. And I really like that coffee place. You know, it's great coffee. You go in there, has a nice vibe, nice feel. And so, yeah, absolutely. My daughter's working down there.
Well,
and she
I've never
enjoys it.
been to Warm Waves, but
Seriously,
I
well, you got to go in there. That's nice.
definitely will, yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, shout out to your daughter. And I think it's done really well in downtown Alpharetta because everywhere I go is like, well, have you been to Warm Waves? I'm like, no, I have not, but maybe I should check them out.
Got to check it out.
All right.
Well, that was a little different divergence for us, right? Talking about restaurants. I don't know if that people will find that helpful.
That was a market update, but of a different
restaurant.
kind.
Yeah, restaurant update.
And maybe we should do this, like, you know, every now and then, just tell our listeners what are the new restaurants that are coming up, along with the real estate developments. Like Toll Brothers is coming up with 200 new houses in Johns Creek. And
that was the one that you were telling me about over by the hospital, I think. Is that right?
Absolutely. And then they have the townhouses that are coming up, 64 townhouses. So I just feel like along with the real estate update, we should definitely talk about the new cute little restaurants that we have in this area.
Oh, and before we sign off, I had one little tidbit of good news that we got to tell everyone. So we had talked about in one of our previous episodes that they were going to be voting on this tax increase for Fulton County. And so what happens, they had that vote on August 6th, and it was defeated. So the taxes did not go up 12% on our millage rate. I guess we'll have to look next year. Of course, it's going to be on, they're going to probably have to come after a little bit more money. And I think it's, you know, they talked about in the meeting I went that they've got some things they have to build at the jail, et cetera, et cetera. So they probably will have to increase a little bit, but hopefully not 12.5% in one block. That was a little crazy.
Fantastic. So now all the money that I've saved, I can go spend on restaurants.
Absolutely. Go spend it at those restaurants.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff. And yay that we don't have an increase on our millage rate and our taxes.
Yeah. So very good, Meesha. Is that it for today?
That's it for today. Thank you, Jeff. It was wonderful talking to you as always. And if there are any questions any of our listeners have, feel free to reach out to Meesha or
Jeff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're happy to help out.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.